Hello and welcome back to my garden. Today, we're going to finish cleaning the greenhouse because I want to start prepping it for the fall, or we are in the fall, for the winter. And we are probably going to start experiencing cooler temperatures probably in the next couple of weeks here. Let me check real quick. Yeah, all next week is looking to be, wow, that's actually quite cool. Mid-60s. Nighttime temperature is still going to hover around 45 to 50 degrees, which isn't bad, but those daytime temperatures only get up to the mid-60s. There's a clear indication that
winter is coming.
So here, where I am in eastern North Carolina, I think we kind of go from summer, and then we're kind of in fall here. It's really not fall because it's still a little warm, although it's gonna, like I said, next week gonna be getting cooler, and then we just sort of jump right into winter. Kind of feels that way. So we've got like 2 weeks of fall and 2 weeks of spring, and then everything else is either winter or summer. Just the way it feels. Anywho, so we're gonna try to clean that up. If you remember, if you watched the previous video, I know, very gripping stuff, but if you watched the previous video, I'd gotten probably about, I want to say 70% of the greenhouse done. Today what I want to get done is get the shade cloth off, and I want to get the other bench cleared off, so far as the pots, and maybe even give this greenhouse a good sweep out. And then I'll be setting up on the bench the box that I used for my winter sowing, which I probably won't start today. That'll be a project for another day, and I'll bring you guys along for that as well. I'll show you what I'll be sowing inside my box, but I want to get that sort of in place. The other thing that's going to be happening very soon, if the temperatures continue to do what they're doing, is I'll be digging up and storing all of my dahlias. Now, I'm not 100% confident that I'll be storing them in the greenhouse. I may store them in the garage. See, if I store them in the greenhouse, oh, I know, I'm babbling. Stay with me here. If I store them in the greenhouse, I can keep them on the shadier side in boxes on the floor where they'll be cooler. Plus, I can keep a closer eye on them because I will be in the greenhouse often during the winter time. We're not going to get into that now. What I'm going to start doing is taking off the shade cloth. But before I do that, it's almost 80 inside the greenhouse. Let's see what the temperature does after I take off the shade cloth. What a difference removing the post and the shade cloth can make to a space. It feels a whole lot more open, which is kind of nice. But one of the other things that I'm sort of missing is that potting shed. Actually, if I go back to my old drawings, the plan was actually to build the potting shed this way. So it'd be coming 12 feet off, and you would just have a narrow margin or narrow gap, really narrow. The 12 feet would bring you to about here. So there'd just be enough of a walkway between the two spaces. But instead, what I hope to do in the future is to build that potting shed lengthwise along the fence, 12 feet long, 8 feet deep. So it'd come out to about here. So you'd have here to the greenhouse to walk. And eventually, some of these tables may move around and change, and that's for the future. Let's take a look inside the greenhouse now and see what a difference removing that shade cloth has made, not only to the light, but to the temperature. Okay, so as you can see now, the greenhouse is a lot brighter. Obviously, I took the shade cloth off. That was to be expected. The sweet potato that I have curing over here will only be here for the next few days. It's supposed to be cloudier over the next few days. In fact, tomorrow we're supposed to get rain, so I'm not really worried about covering all of these. But in the meantime, there's all this mess to clean up, so let's get to it. Oh, and the temperature. It's about 100 in here now. And I have both roof vents open, and I have the fan going behind me here, but it's about 100. It doesn't really feel like 100. Nonetheless, let's get to work. A lot cleaner. This space will get really dirty really quick as I move stuff in and out and put potting soil into the box and spill potting soil off the potting bench, which is another reason why I'd like to eventually hope to get a potting shed so that I can then make a mess in there and not so much in here. Either way, it's looking a lot better. The pots are much more organized now. So now I can go and grab from there. And probably over the next week or so, I'll be moving more and more plants in here. Before I start moving more plants in here and before I start making a mess in here, I just do want to do one more thing on the inside, and that is clean the windows. First year or so, I think I was just using your Windex and paper towels. But I found last year the easier and faster method was to use a squeegee. So I got myself this little squeegee off of Amazon. I think it was on Black Friday sale. It came with some extra blades, which was really nice. And I just spray the windows down and then 1, 2, 3. I'm not looking to get them perfectly clean because I will be splashing water against them, and if I use water from the tap, we have hard water here, so it's going to stain the windows pretty much right away. But if I can get them cleaner than they currently are, that's going to help with the plants on the inside. And the outside, I'll do the same thing. Again, I'll give them a spray and wipe them down. Although I can't seem to find my Windex at the moment. Okay, so I got the floors swept, I got all the pots put away, and I started cleaning the glass. Now, I'm not going to continue cleaning the glass today because I'm filming this the day it's going to get released, and the clock is ticking because I still have to edit this, and you guys get the point. But over the next few weeks, I will continue to wipe down all the surfaces, getting rid of a lot of the frog poo, the lizard poo, and any other dust and dirt that's accumulated on, especially a lot of these support beams that you see here. These support pieces, they all need to be wiped down, which I will do. I actually found another bottle of Windex Light Cleaner. This is Glass Plus. It doesn't matter to me. I just use general purpose whatever, and it gets the glass good enough. So I'm not looking for perfection. This is a working greenhouse. It's always going to be at some level of mess. I'm just trying to bring the mess down for the winter. The one thing I do want to show you though today is me setting up my winter box. So I'm going to show you the box that I'm going to use, what I built it from, how I'm going to set it up, and then we'll fill it with some potting soil. What I tried to do a few years ago, and this experiment was successful, was I took a bag of potting soil and I just laid it out here, and I cut the top off, and then I sewed into that. I'd seen another YouTuber do it, and it was a pretty neat idea. There was a couple of problems with it. One is the bag has an oval shape to it, and you can never get the soil quite level. And though that really doesn't matter to the plants, it does matter when you're watering and water starts to run down basically the curvature of the bag and then onto the ground, and you're not really getting the water onto the plants, and it's a whole thing. So I thought, why not build myself a large planter box that I could then sew into? This box is made out of heat-treated pallet wood. If you were going to do such a thing, I recommend you use heat treated because it has no chemicals in it. So this is probably about 7 inches deep. It's pretty simple. When I built the bottom, tilt this up here and hopefully you can see, I left gaps between the boards, and that was for water drainage. This way the plants aren't going to be sitting in water if I overwater, and I'm careful about my watering, but you always got to, you never know. The downside to leaving the gaps in the boards there is the fact that your potting soil will fall right through. So what I do is I just take some newspaper. I only really use one layer of paper, which I find is enough to A, hold in the compost, and B, allow for drainage. So now let's fill it with some potting soil. Once again, I'm using my favorite potting soil here, Daddy Pete's, and as I've mentioned before, it's got all sorts of good nutrients in here already built into the soil, so I won't need to fertilize anything. Before I add any more potting soil in here, I'm just going to run my hands through this and try to remove big chunks. Not remove them, but break them up. You guys know what I'm talking about. Well, there we go. About 1 inch from the top. I think that's fine. Most of your plant roots don't go down that deep. And what I'll be planting in here is probably some radish, lettuce, maybe something else. I'm not 100% sure at this point. But at least this allows me to grow stuff here in the greenhouse during the wintertime, which was One of the reasons why I wanted the greenhouse, so I can garden year round. So this box is ready to go. I'm not 100% sure what I'm planting in this. At some point in time in the next week or so, I will make my decision and I will start sowing, and I'll either bring you guys along for that or I'll let you know. I'm not sure yet, but either way, this is something we got to look forward to for the winter. That's about it for today. There are a few things. For instance, you may have noticed I pulled those wood boxes out from underneath the bench. They'll be going back underneath the bench because I won't be using them until the springtime. But also underneath that bench is where I might want to putting some of the dahlias or all of the dahlias. I've yet to decide that. The greenhouse is a whole lot cleaner, which is a huge plus. And this side is the sunny side. So over the next couple of weeks, I will start moving plants into here. I'll have to keep an eye on the weather. Many of my young tender seedlings here, they will come inside. And of course, my potatoes, which I've mentioned in a previous video that I'm growing in bags, they'll be coming inside as well, so that I can then probably get a Christmas harvest out of them. Maybe, possibly. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, click that bell icon to be notified when I do post a new video. This way you can follow along, and because I will definitely let you guys know how things turned out with my potatoes. They're just not ready to harvest yet, and if I go to harvest them now or right before the first frost, which could happen in the next couple of weeks, my concern is those potatoes will not be large enough. They won't be quite ready. They'll be edible, they'll be fine, they just may be really small. So the longer I can let them sit in the bags to grow, and the longer the top growth stays alive, the better chances of me getting a nice big potato. It's my theory. This is what I'm going with. If you haven't checked out the links below, please check out the links below. And if you haven't visited growingyourgreenfinger.com, please head over to growingyourgreenfinger.com and check out all the things I got going on over there. I think that's going to wrap it up for today. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.